G'day everyone, welcome to Roo Hammer Season 2, Episode 39. And this will be our Round 24 review of the Warriors' loss to the Canberra Raiders last Friday night in Mackay. Thanks to everyone for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you might be watching. Hammer, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Can't complain. How's everything going with lockdown?
Oh, same. I'm losing track of days, mate. I can't remember how many weeks we've been doing this. There was a news conference today, and they're hoping that they can get to 80% of the New South Wales population having the double jab, and then they'll open up. So they're originally they were talking about maybe late October, early November, but they're on track for mid-October at this point in time. So, yeah, hopefully, mate, we'll be out of lockdown before Christmas and get back to some level of normal living again, which would be nice.
Exactly. Bit of light at the end of the tunnel there.
Yeah. I mean, my girlfriend and I, we don't live together. She lives in a suburb about 30, 40 minutes away, so we haven't seen each other for 11 weeks, which is tough. And I said to her today in a conversation that once we can go more than the 5Ks, I'm going to go 6Ks and take photos. So it's been a while for a lot of things for old Hammer down here. So I'm looking forward to being able to reconnect with especially my family and friends and loved ones. That's paramount to me at the moment. It's I'm lucky I've got Juan living here with because last year when I first started going through lockdown last year, I actually lived alone, so it was quite difficult. Having another person in the house is makes it a little bit easier. It's very tough because all my kids are adults now. I haven't seen any of my kids pretty much for a fair while. So it is what it is. Can't really complain. There's a lot more people going through such worse conditions in the world at the moment. We've got our health and so forth. So, yeah, it's all good.
Best part about living with the Great One is you guys can sort of relate to the footy catastrophes that go on every week.
For me, it's a little bit better because we're actually ahead of them on the ladder. So I have that pride.
Plus, you've got a bit of a buffer.
I've got the Doreen Cup that I can just show.
That's it. Wasn't it good to rewatch that on the Tales of Tiger Town, relive the old Mike Doreen Cup decider?
It was. I just want to say hi to everyone who's joining us.
Hi guys.
James, Christian, Nigel Phillips. Hey Nigel. Mark Roberts from Level 3 Waikato. Rumour has it, mate, you're on your backup account tonight. Mum's got us. Hey Mum. And Warren Rafferty's on. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it as always.
Yeah, mate. I want to thank everyone who joined us for our watch party on Friday night too. It was a pretty special event. Thanks to Jay Harris, who's always along for the ride with us. Great supporter of ours, and shares and brings a lot
to the live chats, doesn't he?
He does.
The live shows.
But also Richie Sterling.
Yeah, Richie was brilliant.
The standoff over in New Zealand, who joined us on camera for the event. Despite the result, it was a lot of fun. And when we can't go to games, I've worked out it's the best way to watch footy if you can't be at the ground. I find it's almost like, you guys are sitting there with me in the stands watching the game. It has that kind of feel to it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great way to watch the game and to share those game day emotions, with the like-minded Warriors fans. If anyone knows what we're going through, it's the fellow supporters. Again, thank you to over 1,000 people who tuned in to watch that live watch party event. And those sort of numbers are insane. And, it proves to us that in these times of lockdowns and games going to regional areas and different states even, it's a popular way for, as you said, for Warriors fans to come together and sort of really enjoy the game day experience among the fraternity.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it is. It's unfortunately we won't be doing one this week because you're going to be fortunate enough to get to the game this weekend. But we will talk about that a little bit later. for now, we might as well get into the review of that Raiders game, mate.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get on with it. You know, round 24 versus the Canberra Raiders, BB Prince Stadium. They're up at Mackay. It's obviously Warriors 16 versus Raiders 28. Warriors tries to O'Sullivan, Berry, and DWZ. Walshy 2 from 3, or was it 3 from 3? You be the judge.
Yes.
Raiders. Sebastian Chris with double. Nickel Clockstar, Rapana, Hudson Young, Rapana 4 from 5. And in a surprise move from Coach Brown, Jazz was relegated to 18th man, and Origami Evans brought into the bench. And Rocco Berry returned from injury, moving into the centres at the expense of Adam Pompey, who was dropped from the game day squad.
Mate, Evans coming into the lineup into 18th man was just another one of those confusing selections by Brownie for me that he's done this season, and not because of my close relationship with Jazz. I think Jazz's defence in the middle third of that field on Canberra's big men would have been crucial for the Warriors. His omission really baffled me. Berry's inclusion was a boost. My only concern for him was that he would be short of a run, which could see him fatigue in the back end of the game. But aside from that, I thought it was a great thing. Yeah,
we couldn't have gotten off to a better start. Obviously, Wade Egan putting on an early dummy half run on tackle 3, splitting the defence, putting SOS over for a try. The last pass from Egan, though, I think it must have been that he threw a look pass, because if he'd thrown his no-look pass, a little bit marginal is I guess what I'm trying to say. But, it was well overdue to get a couple of calls going our way. And as I said, we could not have gotten off to a better start first set of the game. I can't ever remember us scoring from the first set of a game.
No. I think that was a record for us. And that previous hit up from Fanua Blake in that set of 6, and his quick play the ball enabled Egan to jump out and catch the markers out very early. And it was really lazy work from Josh Hodgson, who's normally really good at marker. And then the Raiders had a period of about 4 minutes and some repeat sets on our line. And again, it was encouraging to see our defence hold strong, particularly on our own line.
Yeah, well, it was a mistake from the Raiders attacking our line that actually relieved the pressure, and but the Warriors, I mean, we had our own handling errors as well, and Josh Curran with a bit of a loose carry, unfortunately, turned the ball back over to the Raiders. And a couple of conservative sets from both teams before Matt Lodge gets a successful challenge, his second since joining the Warriors. So that throws a spanner into Brandy Alexander's theory that front rowers and wingers can't get that right. Lodgy exactly. 2 from 2 for a team, mate. We struggle with those captain's challenges, so he might be the lucky charm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A good kick chase on a Townsend kick too put the Raiders inside their own half not long after that. And then after a period of defence, the Warriors start to shift the momentum again and the field position advantage. Townsend and O'Sullivan, for me, were both kicking well, forced the Raiders to start their sets on their own line. And a mistake early in the tackle count from the Raiders, and the Warriors, we actually got our first set inside the Raiders' half.
Yeah, and we were playing with great shape and ball movement, and we're shifting the ball to the left, which opened up the right side again. And a perfectly weighted kick from O'Sullivan was dropped by Seb Chris, and Rocco Berry, Johnny on the spot, came through to score off the loose ball. And the chosen one looked to have converted the try, but strangely, it's waved away as unsuccessful. I had a few looks at that. It must be an optical illusion or something of that effect, because it looked like it had curved in.
Yeah, it must have gone left of the post and come back around behind to make it look, because to me it looked like he got it. And you've got to trust the match officials, mate, because they never make mistakes. Yeah. But it did confuse everyone, I thought. We could, amazingly, we complete set after points and get a good kick to finish.
Amazingly, yes.
Attack courtesy of a set restart and then a penalty, but Sutton lost the ball close to the Warriors line with a clear loose carry, and strangely they chose that to be their captain's challenge of the day.
Yeah, I was thinking that was going to be crucial if in the odd chance this turned into a close game. Yeah, we went on to the attack with some great early carries and waiting, and again causing the headaches for the markers with another dummy half run, earning some crucial meters. And Townsend with another great kick that is totally misjudged by Simonson. And DWZ with a great chase, takes the ball and scores for what I thought was a convincing 16-0 lead at the time. Although I did sort of think we were basically gifted 2 tries from kicks. So we put on the first try, and we were essentially gifted 10 points from those errors in judgment. So maybe that could have been it. That 16-0 scoreline is a bit deceptive there.
Yeah, mate, we spoke about this after the game, didn't we? And we both agreed that, once the emotion of the loss had settled and the emotion of having a 16-0 lead disappear, basically, and lose that game, we kind of analysed it a little bit more, and we both spoke about those 2 key moments. And so much so that Ricky actually hooked Bailey Simonson at that stage, shifted Rapiner onto that wing and brought Nickel Kluxter into the game, which I think really changed the game for Canberra.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, Simonson faking an injury when he was limping off the field, but, we all knew that he'd been hooked. He'd effectively let in 2 tries from kicks. Again, the set after points is a good one, highlighted by a strong carry from Fanua Blake, and another great dummy half run from Egan down the left side. And I thought Egan now is really benefiting from having a mobile forward pack that gets good post-contact meters and fast play the balls.
100%. He's starting to come into his own a little bit. Curran with a great finish to the set as well, with a strong carry. And a grubber from the man. Is there anything he can't do? Yeah. And then a tackle to force the dropout is an awesome play to keep the pressure on the Raiders. And the repeat set, we again show great attacking shape, working the Raiders' defence around and continuing to sort of really build that pressure on the line. Starting to build pressure.
For me, the Raiders' defence looked shot to bits. A strong carry from AFB almost ends in points, but the offload at the line is knocked on by O'Sullivan. But I think they called it for a forward pass from dummy half. And then the next attacking set of the Warriors ends with another good 5th tackle kick that puts the Raiders under pressure, and a knock-on earns as a scrum. And then Walsh jumps out to the left and fires a poor pass to Montoya that's knocked on. But the Raiders are pinged for an offside penalty, and we stay on the attack.
And again, we had good shape on the right, but Josh Curran unfortunately came up with a drop ball like meters out from the line. And I would say 4 scoring opportunities in the past 4 sets that have been squandered by poor handling on our part. And we knew they would be crucial by the end of the game. We said it countless times on the live watch. We should be up by at least 22, 28 points here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Richie, good to see you, bro.
Hey, Rich.
O'Sullivan goes close again. The next set from a Bailey Sirenen kick. And the bounce of the ball not being kind hits O'Sullivan in the arm and then goes dead in goal. And the Raiders there get a 7-tackle set and then a penalty, and they're able to get deep inside our half.
Yeah, the Raiders with a real nothing set, though, on our line. And they, to be honest, they score from a nothing play. It was an extremely soft try from CNK that should never have been scored. And again, it's that crucial period just before halftime where they just switch off, like less than a minute to go, switch off and I guess stop competing on every play. It's costly.
I can't remember who the commentators were, but they said if the Raiders hadn't have scored on that play, that would have gone down as the worst set of 6 in the history of rugby league because of what they basically didn't produce in that set of 6. And for them to get a try there, that was just, that was diabolical for us. And it's a real problem for us and it comes back down to that attitude factor we discussed last week. It was evident in the final seconds where the Raiders almost pulled off another miracle play to score as the siren sounded for halftime. It's like we'd clocked off a couple of minutes before halftime thinking we've got this game in the bag.
Yeah. It's the NRL, and you can't afford to lose concentration for even a minute. You can get, like, we almost saw 2 tries scored in less than a minute there. It's crazy stuff. And I had to put on my Nostradamus hat again, but I was at halftime. Thinking, oh, here we go. The Raiders will come out with a strong start. They'll get an early try and they'll be right back in the mix. And sure enough, the Raiders came out in the second half, far more energy and purpose than the Warriors. Very slow out of the blocks we were. And the Raiders' early sets ended well inside the Warriors' 20-metre zone. And it was a bit of a throwback to the end of the Broncos game where we were really struggling to get out of our own end. Yeah. And Canberra capitalised on all that early pressure and momentum with a try to Seb Chris inside the first 5 minutes of the second half. And right then, I think we all had that sinking feeling.
Mark Roberts almost needs to gag. He does. Again, it was that crucial 10-minute period either side of half-time where, you learnt as when you're growing up, they're the most crucial 20 minutes of a game of footy. And it's where so often games are won and lost in that 20 minutes of footy. It's a big problem for us in that 20-minute period. It's a period of our game where both our starting props, Fanua Blake and Lodge, are being off the field at the same time. And that's something I've been very vocal about with our forward rotations. And I stand by my comments that Brownie needs to adjust his rotation so that both those guys are not off the field at the same time, especially if he's not going to play a guy like Jazz, who can carry that defensive load in the middle third. He's got to work out how he does it, whether he has one guy playing, a long 35 or 40-minute full half of footy with the other guy coming off at the 25-minute mark, and then the guy who's played the 40 can maybe play another 5 or 10 before the other guy comes back. But he's got to work it out. It's because we lose so much. Nothing against Bunty and JTB and Kane Evans and these guys that are coming on, but they just do not pack the punch that Lodge and Fanua Blake pack in the middle of the field.
Yeah, Lodge and AFB are experienced, and they're our forward leaders. So I was just having a chuckle. Richie was just saying, I'll have to start seeing a premiership in my crystal ball. I'll see what I can do. We do have a topic about that coming up, maybe in next week's show. So stay tuned for that about all things Warriors premiership related. Just on Chad Townsend, he was really struggling with that shoulder injury at this particular point in the game. He picked up early in the first half, and he comes from the field succumbing to that injury, and that brought Nikorima into the game. But with AFB and Lodge off the field, as you said, there's a noticeable drop in intensity in the go forward, and we're just absolutely struggling. We're getting pinned in our own half. DWZ and Montoya, again, are doing the lion's share of those heavy carries out of our danger zone, trying to get us out of trouble. It was the same as the Broncos game the week before.
Those guys have been great. The momentum shift in this game was significant, though. The Raiders played a really smart footy to keep the momentum building. Staying down when hit high to earn penalties. The Raiders really getting the rub of the green with 7 penalties and 4 set restarts to the Warriors 4 penalties for the game and no set restarts. So,
look. We were really struggling in attack as well, and it seemed that we'd completely dropped our bundle, lost all composure, and just looked completely unorganised, even with Cody out there. And right away, we just went completely away from what had worked for us in that first half. Completely away from it.
Agree. And I'm just looking at the comment here from Ruben Newman. He says, it's evident to me the Warriors need to focus on the 1%ers in the off-season. They don't fight for every play, or if they are not fit enough to do it for long enough. In numerous games, week in, week out, we're beaten to the loose ball along with defence as well.
Great point.
That's a fair point, and I agree with that to a point. But I also disagree because we proved the Penrith game when we had no bench for 50 minutes that we can compete with the better teams in the competition and really win those 1%. That game for me was a game that I thought was the turning point where we kind of could have got onto a run heading to the semi-finals. We had no bench. We'd lost our complete bench in the first 30 minutes. We played 50 minutes with no subs. Lodge and Fanua Blake played 80-minute football. And then after that, we just turned to shit. I think the week after that was the South game. We got absolutely mercied by
It's a question of consistency, though. It's a question of desire and reproducing that effort week after week. Like I think you look back to the 2018 season, and when we did have some of those more experienced guys in the team, like we had Blair coming in, we had Green, we had a few other guys coming into the team that seemed to make a bit of a difference in that area. Yeah, and they were saying Blair was all about the 1%ers, and obviously we had a very successful year there, but it's kind of gradually gone out of our game again, or in patches. Like as you said, we are capable of doing it, like the Penrith game, as you said. But I would agree that sometimes it just looks like the other team, as we said last week, just wants it more, just wants to dive on that loose ball more,
absolutely,
competing for that grubber more. Yeah,
this game was evident of it, wasn't it? Because you look at that first half where we're leading 16-0. And we switched off for 5 minutes before halftime, and they scored a try and nearly scored another. And then we're going to get to the end of this game, but it was 16-all with 1:20 remaining, and we got beat by 2 converted tries.
Yeah, that's should not happen.
Yeah, and on that, with 15 minutes to go, we were leading 16-10. Sean O'Sullivan narrowly misses and nailing a 40-20 by centimetres. His foot was just over the line. And that, for me, was probably the most crucial point in the game where we lost it, because if that is a 40-20, we go on the attack on the Raiders line for the first time in the second half, and we get the opportunity to play shape at their line and build pressure. And we'd proven in the first half that we could convert that into points. Instead, it's the Raiders' ball, and they got 80 metres on that set of 6 and score on tackle 4 and tie the game up at 16-6. And that, for me, was what I like to call a real sliding doors moment in the game that determined the outcome. I think if the 40-20 is nailed at that point in time, we end up with a different result at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd had no ball in the Raiders half, so yeah, that would have been crucial. As you say, though, the Raiders score through Seb Chris, and they have all the momentum going into the back end of that game, like all the momentum, complete switch.
Yeah, again. They did. They get a penalty. Rapiner attempts a shot at goal. It falls short. And Walsh elects not to – well, it doesn't fall short. It goes wide of the post, but short of the dead ball. And Walsh elects not to play at the ball. He allows it to bounce in goal, and it goes dead. And that gives the Raiders another set via a 20-metre dropout. Now, that was another key sliding doors moment. And they happened pretty much like back-to-back. And it was a poor decision from Walsh. I love the guy. He's, we call him the chosen one, and he's a very special talent. But there is a lot about the game he still has to learn, and Brownie keeps saying that. And
lack of experience.
Yeah, for all his attacking prowess, he still has so much to learn, because RTS would have iced that moment. RTS wouldn't have been standing next to the goalpost or under the crossbar where Walsh was standing. He would have been standing behind in the in-goal area, pretty much on the dead ball line, which is where Walsh has been standing, because then he can come forward to the ball if it's falling short.
He can attack it.
Yeah, and attack it and what have you. And that was where, that was another one of those sliding door moments, because he catches that ball, we get a 7-tackle set, and we're on the attack.
It's a big difference. It was almost like that John O'Wright one back at Mount Smart all those years ago. But we got a rare set at the Raiders line after that, and it's the most diabolical set of 6 I think you'll see. Absolutely no direction, no one in position to take a shot at field goal. It ends up in Bunty's hands on the last tackle. I think that was because Sean O'Sullivan played the ball.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely no game management happening at all. Repeat mistakes, though, from Corey Horsburgh that he obviously learned from his stint at the Bulldogs there, and gives us one last opportunity. He was dead set trying to get us back in the game, this bloke.
Right. Yeah.
Give us one last opportunity to field goal. Walshy steps up to take it, but he pushes it left of the posts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, and that's something that you've got to admire the guy for. And we said it last week in the game against the Broncos. In the clutch moments of the game, he wants the ball, and that's what winners are all about. They want the ball in their hand. They want to make a difference. Yep. Walshy's got that in him, which can only be great for us moving forward. As I said, mate, 2 minutes 30 remaining. The Raiders get that 7-tackle set because of that field goal going dead. And we had this feeling of deja vu come over us, didn't we? You kind of picked what was going to happen. The Raiders shift the ball.
I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that guy.
The Raiders shift the ball to the right and then back left, catching out lazy defenders who'd given up on the play. A poor arm grab attempted tackle from Sirinen, and the Raiders score through Rapana, who was fantastic for the Raiders yet again. He's just one of those guys that competes on every play. He's one of those guys that you'd love to have in your club, Jordan Rapana. He's one of those guys that Madge talks about, be that guy that everyone wants to play with. But Bailey Sirenan was just he was awful on. I mean, I hate bagging players, but you've got to be truthful. And his performance on the weekend in defence was awful, absolutely awful.
He needed to come up with a much better effort with the game on the line. Yeah. Just going back to Rapana, like 100%, he's the guy that you want in the team. He is the guy that you'd want to play with. He's all effort, always competing.
Yep.
The Raiders then finish off with a bomb that's dropped by Walshy, and Hudson Young picks up the spoils to increase the points deficit, as we said before. And the Raiders are still alive in the race for the finals, and the Warriors, just their slim mathematical chances gone. I know we discussed this last week, but did the Raiders just want it more?
Attitude, mate. Yeah, they certainly did. Plain and simple. It was all attitude on our part. It all comes down to attitude. I can't say that enough. Leading 16-0 after 25 minutes, and then the Raiders score 28 unanswered points. That 5-minute period either side of half-time, and then the final 2 minutes of the game are the two areas where we just dropped all intensity and let the game get away from us. Effectively, 12 minutes of footy, basically. 12 minutes of footy is all the Raiders need to play to win that game of footy. There's no excuse to have a game tied up at 16-all with less than 2 minutes to play and you lose by 12 points. 2 tries in under 2 minutes is inexcusable. And like I said before, Bailey Sirenan, very disappointing. 11 missed tackles. And let's not forget Cody Nikorima, who missed 6 tackles and only played 30 minutes. So there's no excuse for that. It's just not first-grade standard, unfortunately.
Well, there was one guy in our team that was the epitome of first-grade standard, and that was our Torius player of the match, and that goes to Wade Egan this week. Congratulations to Wade. He's our, as I said, Torius player of the match. 124 run meters, 25 post-contact meters, 1 try assist, 4 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 38 tackles. So massive, decent performance from him.
Massive numbers for a hooker, and let's not forget he came off injured with about 20 or 25 minutes to go too. So his numbers would have been even bigger had he played the full 80 minutes. Other notable performers, Matt Lodge, 171 run meters, 54 post-contact meters, 5 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 28 tackles. And AFB again, 179 meters, 90 post-contact meters, 2 tackle breaks and 1 offload. And probably the unsung, the guy that's one of those unsung players was Sean O'Sullivan. Every time he plays, he's a running half. He gets over
over 100 meters. Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
He had another 130 run meters. He had 1 try, 2 tackle breaks, 192 kick meters, and 26 tackles. So it was good to see in a beaten side that Sauce was still standing up and making claims for that. That contract extension that we hope he gets.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely, we'd all love to see him back in the team, as we said almost every week. In other Warriors-related news, though, it was great to see the Fuss making his long-awaited return to the field in the Redcliffe Dolphins 52-12 hammering of the Tigers on Saturday night in the Intrust Super Cup there. And from all reports, Fuss got through the game, through the 80 minutes with no problems, got himself a try as well. Great to see.
Yeah, mate, he got an early try, which would have settled his nerves, and he played the full 80. He racked up 190 run meters, and people that were at the game said it was like watching a man playing with boys. He was just that dominant in his first run back. Viliami Valea, Jackson Frey, Tom Arley, and Pride Patterson and Rabadi also got some minutes in this game too, which was good to see. And they're all I know Frey and Arley aren't on contract for next year, so not sure what's going to happen with those guys. But it was good to see some of the guys that haven't had much game time this season because of the stoppage to the second-tier competitions finally get back on the field and get some game time.
Yeah, for sure.
Should we look at the other games?
Yeah, mate. Let's get into some of the other NRL action that we had over this crucial round 24 in the NRL on Thursday night. out there at the Sunshine Coast Stadium, we had the Knights 15 over the Titans 14. Knights tries to Ponga and Pearce. Clifford 3 goals from 3 attempts, and Pearce with the all-important field goal for the Titans. Sammy and Fafita tries. Fogarty 3 from 4. Mate, plenty on the line in this game. And I think all us Warriors fans were sitting there cheering on the Knights like mad, because that was part of our mathematical equation there. One stage that the Titans looked like they might bust it open a little bit. They got to that 12-6 lead before halftime. Fafita proving to be a bit of a colossus out there on that side of the field, looking to be unstoppable, getting that try. And then it sort of became that second half. It became a bit of an arm wrestle, and I guess the Knights just came up with the clutch play when it mattered.
Yeah, mate. For me, for what was on the line, I thought both teams for me were very underwhelming. And I thought the Knights did enough to get the result and book their spot in the finals. The Titans had all the early attack. They had over 60% possession in that first half. The Knights had a very poor execution throughout the game. They had 5 handling errors in the first half and 11 for the match. And it really prevented them from building any real pressure and control of that game. From the bench, again, another strange selection call in a game that meant all or nothing for the Titans. Yeah. We saw, as you said, we saw what he can do. It was a barnstorming run for a late try in that first half. Fogarty's kicking game was exceptional and really kept the Titans in the game. He kicked for over 700 metres, which just basically shows you that's all the Titans had in this game was their kick metres. And then cream always rises to the top. Mitch Pearce showed his worth. He got a 40-20. He scored a try in the second half, and then that clutch field goal at the end. So, congratulations to the Knights. They're going to play semi-final football again, but they're just making up numbers. They'll be 1 week in and out for me. Well,
that's it. So 7th and 8th, you would imagine. Moving on to the 6 o'clock Friday game at Suncorp Stadium. We were the 6 o'clock Friday game, and we've been through that. The second game on Friday night, Suncorp Stadium, Rabbitohs 54 over the Roosters 12. Rabbitohs tries Johnson a double, Nichols a double, Mitchell a double, Paulo a double, and Reynolds 7 from 7, Mitchell 2 from 3. You get a double, you get a double. Everybody gets a double, it would seem, even Nichols. Yeah. Roosters tries to Jerry Manu, and Sam Verrills, Taukiaho and Walker with the conversions. Yeah, look, very spiteful incident here, Ray. Rabbitohs. First and foremost, is Rabbitohs flex their muscles against an injury-plagued Rabbitohs far too strong across the park. And the result, though, I guess you would say, seemed to be secondary to all the drama and controversy that unfolded on the field with the well-publicised incident with Latrell and Joey Manu.
Yeah. Yeah, mate, the game pretty much went... Look, the scoreline of the game pretty much went the way I expected. The Roosters with their massive injury and suspension toll, they posted a team of 13 players who were unavailable on a website the other day, and it was pretty amazing the number of players that they weren't able to select for this game, but having a substandard team on the field, they just weren't going to be able to compete with the Rabbits. The Rabbits really dominated all the possession and field position too. They suffocated the Roosters out of the game. They took Tedesco out of the game, and Tedesco was hardly noticed. But like you said, probably the biggest part of that game was the Latrell Mitchell hit on Joey Manu, and there has been a lot said about it in the media. It's a reckless tackle. Obviously, no intent. He didn't go in there to intend to hurt Manu, but he led with the shoulder. It was reckless. He deserves the 6 weeks that he gets. It's not the first time that Latrell's done something like this. You think back to the Tigers game where he used his elbow on Nofaluma
and lashed out with his boot as well. He's got form on the board.
And then you look at this game too. Like he got the same penalty, which was on report and in the bin for 10 minutes, as someone gets when they lie on the tackle player too long, a professional foul, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then he comes back on and he spearheads their attack back into like another few tries and winning that game, and scores a try himself, and then carries on like a fucking pork chop by slamming the ball ridiculous. Down almost on Fletcher Baker, the local boy from Omaha, Nebraska's face. Like he just and now terrible look, absolutely terrible look. And now his family comes out and saying, "Oh, you know, he's suffering from depression and you know, he's getting death threats on social media." Now, I don't condone anything like that.
Definitely not.
But you know, I mean, it's probably the biggest thing here for me is the way in which Joey Manu handled it. And we're going to talk about, you know, the actual incident a bit later on in the set of 6. But Joey Manu, after the incident, how classy he's been in his responses, you know, it just goes to show, the type of player he is. I'd say Trent Robinson would probably the best 20 grand he's ever spent in terms of the fine he got from the NRL first. It was a great press conference. He was
saying what a lot of people are thinking. He was just someone said it.
He spoke about circus music in the background.
Yeah. I was imagining the Benny Hill music.
It was a spite. It turned into a very spiteful game at the end of it. You can only think that with South resting all their players this week, the Roosters coming up against a Canberra side who are in form and with their growing injury list may lose this game to Canberra this weekend. South will more than probably definitely lose their game with all the players that they've rested. So there's a good chance these two are going to finish 5th and 6th and could play each other in the semis in week 2. So
watch this space.
Absolutely.
Interesting. It adds to the Book of Feuds, doesn't it? Another brutal chapter to the Book of Feuds. Moving on to Saturday's action, 3:00 game. Brown Park Rockhampton getting another match. And it's the Cowboys 38 over the Dragons 26. Cowboys 2 tries to Feld, try to Robson, Hampton, Dearden, Lukey, Tapuai Fido, and Holmes 5 from 6. And the Dragons double to Ravalawa, Lomax, Sullivan, Sloan tries, and Lomax 3 from 5. For me, like this was pretty much a typical game featuring a couple of also ran teams. Not the highest quality, but still a very entertaining game. You know, plenty of points scored. Quite indicative of a couple of teams that are struggling at the end of the season, throwing caution to the wind. Cowboys did well to recover from that 20-10 halftime deficit, and they had a bit of a try barrage there in that second half. And they always just seem to have the Dragons measured in that second half. And it's a good result, and I'm pleased for our mate Toddy to get another win. But there are reports that he's under pressure to keep his job, which I was surprised at.
Mate, it really was a garbage game of football, and one of those games that a game of 2 halves, where the Dragons were so good in the first half and the Cowboys came out in the second. Both teams looking to end a long run of defeats. Both teams with some future stars at the game, getting some important game time in their development, like Tyrell Sloan, Jaden Sullivan, Talatai Amone for the Dragons, and then Jeremiah Nanai, Gilliam Lukey, and Griffin Neem for the Cowboys. I get, like you said, it was just what 2 teams that struggling at the back end of a season. Great to see Toddy break that losing streak. And even greater that it's the Dragons that remain on a losing streak. Hopefully they can end the season with another loss this weekend. But, it's strange to hear that Toddy's under pressure because for me, when you get a new coach to the club, and we're going through it now with Brownie where there's, social media posts that, we need to get rid of Brownie and, you got to give these guys times to build their roster and build their combinations within their roster. And Toddy hasn't had that. He's lost some players through the course of the season. Jake Clifford, Josh Maguire, who were both first graders. Taumalolo's been in and out because of injury. And he's got our mate Chatty Townsend heading there next year in the halves.
For sure.
He's trying to find a home for Valentine Holmes. Is he a fullback? Is he a winger? Is he a centre? Where does the little Hammer play? Is he a winger? Is he a fullback? Is he a centre?
He has to be in there somewhere, but where do you get the most out of him?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Toddy needs to have a bit of time to work on his squad, and that's why you probably give these guys 3 years. So the first year, obviously, this year for Toddy is he's got his feet wet. He's got his boots on the ground and he's walking through the mud. Next year is where you want to start seeing results, and the third year
you want to see some progress. Yeah, you got to see some improvement. Yeah.
Like, next year they've got to be moving up the ladder, and then you'd like to think that in the 3-year plan is they have to be in the 8.
You'd imagine so. Yeah,
and that's what we need to be looking from Brownie as well with our squad. We need to be looking for improvement with a view to making the finals, and then once you make the finals, then you've got to be consistently in that finals
stay
race.
There.
Yeah, every year rather than dropping.
You go from being a top 8 team to a top 4 team, and then you've got to be constantly, contending for that title. That's where every team wants to be. You don't want to be 100%. A team that's going to scrape into the 8 every year. So, you're always aiming for that top 4.
Yeah.
Second game on Saturday, another entertaining match. This was at Suncorp Stadium. Sharks 24 over the Broncos 16. Sharks, Katoa, Ramian, Tracy and Trindle with tries. Trindle 4 from 5. The Broncos, Tessie New with a double. And Coates with a try. And Farnworth 2 from 3. I expected this one to be a real close contest, and that's pretty much exactly what we got. The Sharks did just enough to win, but they did score some really good tries, particularly that effort from Sione Katoa to Connor Tracy was a great try. See a winger who's just running there. Like, does anyone want this ball? And that was one of the tries of the round. And the Sharks have done well to bounce back. They had a terrible start to the season, and they've done well to be in the position that they are to more than likely get that 8th spot. And the Broncos themselves are much improved as well. They're not the laughing stock that they were, end of last year, start of this year. They've won back a bit of respect. And, you'd have to think, as I said before, with the Storm players resting so many players this weekend, and you would have to say that the Sharks would be firming to sneak into that 8th spot.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I thought it was a pretty entertaining game of footy. I actually enjoyed this one, which is rare because I don't really like watching the Sharks play. I find I just find their grinding, their gritty style of footy. Going back to the last couple of seasons where there's never a lot of points in a Sharkies game, and it's a grinding kind of game, and it's good for someone that loves the game and understands the game like that, but it's not a good spectacle to watch. And like you said, the Broncos have been playing a great brand of footy lately. In the past few weeks, they've had 2 wins and 2 losses coming into this game. And last week's points fest by the Sharks kind of had them throwing the ball around a little bit this week too. The Sione Katoa set-up try for Connor Tracy, great to watch. I knew Sione as a young Canterbury junior, played at the Chester Hill Club. He was a fullback back in his day, so I saw him do that so many times against junior clubs, and it's good to see him show some of those skills again. He's not just a quick guy on the wing that can finish tackles. He's got a good bit of ball play about him.
We showed that.
I think probably the big turning point in this game was the fact that the Broncos cruelled their chances. They played 20 minutes of that game with guys in the sin bin, which it's very hard to play 20 minutes of footy game, as we know, with players down. We did that against the Sharks. It was good to see Andrew Fafita at the ground, though, supporting the Sharks, recovering from his injury and his operation. Always a great sign when you see players who have serious injuries, show their face and, give a wave to the crowd and, let you know that they're doing okay. So that was that was good. But I think you're right. With the Storm resting all there in the box seat now to secure that 8th spot. And the only team I can see challenging them for that would be the Raiders if they happen to beat the Roosters, because we're going to beat the Titans.
That's it, and that will cool the Titans' chances, of course.
Yep.
The third game on Saturday. Well, what a result! Again at Suncorp Stadium. Eels 22 over the Storm 10. Eels double to Fergie, Dunster and Lussick with tries. Moses 3 from 5. And for the Storm, Remus Smith and Isaac Lumilumi tries. Pappenhausen 1 from 2. Like, who saw this one coming? Seriously. We know that Parramatta are capable. Yeah.
Brad Arthur is about the
Brad Arthur was probably the only one, and probably the 17 blokes out there, but in the Parramatta jersey. But we know Parramatta are capable of this on their day, and in this game they showed just why they shouldn't be written off just yet. Are there some cracks starting to appear in the Storm as well? That's the other question to be answered. I mean, they haven't been on their game the last couple of weeks. The most impressive aspect for me, though, was when the Storm surged back into that contest, and I think they got it back to 10 all, and they looked to be doing what they do almost every other week, and they're getting back into it and pulling away from the opposition. Para stuck with them, and they hung in the fight, and they got through it and then put on a couple of tries of their own. And so you got to ask, is that the blueprint for beating Melbourne? Pardon the pun, but weathering the storm. You got to weather that storm. You got to weather that period and get through it. Fight, scramble, do whatever you need to do.
Mate, Parramatta just played Storm footy. They played Storm footy against the Storm. It was a as you said, it was a result that nobody saw coming, except for maybe Brad Arthur and the Parramatta. It's. I think. For me, I think it was the tempo of footy that Parramatta played too. They just played really up-tempo footy. They didn't lie around in the ruck. They rushed everything in terms of when they got a penalty to, get onside, get a tap. They really pressured the Storm, not just with their attack, but it was their defence. They had great line speed. They got up in the face of the Storm players, and it made the Storm make some uncharacteristic errors.
Yeah.
And you just spoke about it, and I spoke about it last week. I've said in the past that the Storm have looked jaded, they've looked tired, and I think probably the worst thing that could happen is that Parramatta beat them this week, because this will allow Storm to reset. They're going to put that streak behind them now, and that they're going to focus on the task at hand, I think, which is going to be winning. Yeah, they'll regroup. They rest all their players. It was hats off to the Parramatta. It was a great performance. I'd written them off as any chance of, making any dent in the semi-finals. I still don't see them winning the comp, but
yeah, no, I can't either. But it gives them hope. It gives there's a spark there.
Yeah, it's an interesting call, and we'll talk about it a bit later on when we talk about the team selections. It's an interesting call how they've lined up this week. And I will discuss it in a bit of depth then. But, mate, great game of footy. Probably kind of fitting that they don't break that record. I have memories, and they're only faint memories. I was only a little tacker back in 75 when the Roosters did that feat of the 20 or 19 games. And a lot of people don't realise St. George actually still hold the record for most consecutive. No, sorry. St. George hold the post-war record for most consecutive games not lost, and that's 20 because they had a draw in amongst that.
Okay. Unbeaten run then. Yeah.
But the Bulldogs hold the record. Is it the Bulldogs or the Roosters? The Roosters hold the record with 35, but that was back in 1938. So that's pre-war, back in the days when Dave Brown played. But, still 19 consecutive games. It's a massive achievement.
Oh, unreal.
Achievement. Yeah. And isn't it ridiculous to think, though, that if things go the way they look like they're going to go this weekend, and that's the Storm will lose to Cronulla because they've rested all their players, and the Panthers beat Parramatta because Parramatta have rested all their players, the Panthers are going to win the minor premiership in a year where the Storm win 19 games straight in a 25-game season. It's just baffling.
It's bizarre.
To think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sunday's action. Moreton Daily Stadium there at Redcliffe. We had a game between the Bulldogs and Manly. Manly running out winners 36-18. Manly tries. Tom Trbojevic, 3. Jason Saab, a double. Olaka Atu and Garrick, 6 from 7. And from Candace Aduri, Okunbor and Torpany. And Flanagan, 3 from 3. Great start from the Doggies. I was watching this and they defended well. They put on a couple of tries of their own to be shock leaders at the break. And so we always said, though, they do just lack those quality players and that polish to just bust the game open. And speaking of which, Tommy Turbo was exactly the player that they would probably need. And he came into his own, and he literally just took the game away from the Doggies single-handedly. Yeah. Interesting to see, though, that the Doggies got a try from the kickoff. Did you see that one?
It was good, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah.
Mate, for me, I thought Manly started and looked a little complacent to start the game, as if they just going through the motions was going to get them the points against the Dogs. And it couldn't have been highlighted better than Jason Saab's lazy put down for what would have been his second try of the game. But obviously disallowed.
It's way too casual.
You
just can't do that. You can't do that at first grade.
Yeah, absolutely. Manly with a man down. Bulldogs really didn't take their opportunities when Manly had 12 on the field. And then, as you said, second half, 3 tries was just phenomenal. The Bulldogs were leading 16-12 with 20 minutes to go. And then just got blown off park. Great to see, interesting to see, Turbo, Ruben Garrick and Jason Saab are the first players from the same club to score 20 tries or more.
Amazing.
In the history of a season. It is an amazing stat.
How potent is that, considering where they started, how they started the year?
I know. And you got to consider Turbo didn't play the first 5 games. So he's basically played 20 games and scored 20 tries. 21, I think he's up to. And then Ruben Garrick also is the first player to score 20 tries and kick 100 goals in a season. And I think this weekend he needs to score 12 points, and he will surpass Hazem El Masri's most ever points in a single NRL season.
He'll do it 100%. They're playing the Cowboys. He'll get that.
I know.
He might get that in tries.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that Jackson Topine try was just ridiculous, wasn't it? It was
it's crazy.
Kick off into
yours.
Bounce between 3 Manly players straight.
No man's land. Oh, dream bounce. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last game, mate, what happened there? Where were we?
Right, we were still at Redcliffe. We had the Penrith 30 over the Tigers 16. Panthers tries to Leota, Pangai Jr., Luai kick out and To'o, and Cleary 5 from 5. And Tigers, big Stefano with a try, Simpkins and Kenny Mamalo. Brooks 2 from 3. Again, the Tigers started well, but as like in the previous game, the Panthers' superiority just shone through. They regained the ascendancy. Didn't look like losing from there. Brian To'o made a big difference in his first game back in a while. Kikau and what about Tavita Pangai Jr.'s try? That was just sheer determination and power, just desire to get that ball over the stripe. They were both massive for the Panthers. For mine, they might just have switched places with the Storm in terms of premiership favourites.
It's interesting you say that. I think the exact same thing. They look to be off their game a little bit at the beginning of that game. But, you got Kikau, Pangai, Capewell, Yo, Liam Martin as their edge back row, kind of middle forward or back forward rotation. Add to that, you got guys like James Fisher-Harris and Moses Leota, whose go forward is phenomenal. Fisher Harris would have to be close to the best front rower in the game at the moment. And then Nathan Cleary, his sublime skills, those kicks that he angled towards the posts, one ended up in a try, the other nearly a try. Just a phenomenal, freakish talent that this kid is. And don't get me wrong, he works hard for the things that he does. And then you add into that they only had a 64% completion rate for this game. So for me, I think the Panthers are the team that are going to take the most momentum into the semi-finals, and that's proven by they've picked their top squad this week again for the final round. They're not resting players; they're on a mission. They're going to take the minor premiership and go, on a run now all the way to the grand final. Nathan Cleary reached 1,000 points, which was a great. I think he's the second youngest player to do so behind Graham Eadie, and probably would have achieved it earlier than Eadie had he not spent those 7 or 8 weeks on the sideline. I think there's only a couple of days. But mate, and the Tigers, they just missed Adam Dewey. They had no good ball in the second half. They did finish with a flurry, to score a couple of tries to make that scoreline respectable.
Bit of respect in the score, yeah.
But they're just, mate, they're like us. They're just off the pace. They're not finals footy quality at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at the whole state of affairs of the competition. After 24 rounds, the Storm and the Panthers are locked in for a battle for the minor premiership, and the Rabbits, regardless of the results, are going to finish third. Manly, Parramatta, and Roosters are all on 32, and they'll battle it out for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Manly look likely to finish 4th, though, with a win against the Cowboys. However, the Roosters are up against the Raiders, and the Eels playing the Panthers. So, nothing's set in stone yet.
No. And Newcastle will play finals footy for the second consecutive season, mate, finishing 7th. And then it's a fight for 8th spot with Cronulla and Canberra both on 22 points, with games against Melbourne and the Roosters respectively. And as you said, with Melbourne resting all their players, you'd have to think that Cronulla are, the odds-on favourites to take that 8th spot. The only other team in contention for 8th would be the Titans, who need both the Sharks and Raiders to lose and then need to win by at least a 20-point victory over the Warriors to claim 8th spot, which we know won't happen. It'll be a victory by 1 to 6 points. So many games with finals implications this week. It's sure to be a good round of footy to finish off the season.
Yeah, still plenty of matches that count for a lot, as you say. But what time is it?
What time
it is. It's time for rants. Do you want to kick us off, mate?
I will, mate. The one thing I want to talk about, something that's big in the news at the moment, and that's the inconsistency of the bunker. And this season we have seen, mate, this season we've seen so many inconsistencies with the bunker decisions, and the past month has probably been the worst. And you would think that leading into the semi-finals, they would have got this right by now. Last week's game with the Joey Manu incident, it took Joey Manu himself to approach the referee not once but twice before the incident was reviewed, which was absolutely ridiculous. The fact
absurd.
Henry Perenara, who was in the bunker at the time, but Henry Perenara has all the technology in the world to review everything that's happening on the field, and he misses that. It's just,
there must be too much music and streamers in the background that was distracting.
Latrell Mitchell, it was penalised and sin bin for 10 minutes, which, as I said before, is the exact same punishment you get for a professional foul, holding someone down too long in a tackle. And then Mitchell was able to return to the game and spearhead the Rabbits' attack, whilst one of the Roosters' most potent attacking weapons is sidelined for the game. Now, as a result, Perenara has been stood down, but this is just in the last in a long line of bunker inconsistencies all season. There's been penalty tries awarded. I remember Jordan Rapana had a penalty try awarded, I think, in the game against the Broncos, was it?
Oh, I guess, 8-point try, wasn't it? And there was absolutely nothing in it.
There's nothing in that. And then the following week, he's led with a shoulder onto I think, against the Roosters, and nothing happened. There was no penalty, no nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We've seen captains' challenges won or lost on where you can clearly see what's happening in the vision, and the bunker doesn't see what we're seeing. We've seen sin bins, tries awarded or disallowed in so many controversial calls all season from the bunker. And at times, even the commentators are audibly confused. The coaches and players have absolutely no idea what constitutes a penalty, sufficient, going on report, sin bin, or a send-off. And it changes not only game to game, but during a game by the same referee. And the bunker. It's the bunker needs a serious overhaul, and the specification on what constitutes what penalty needs to be clearly identified. Because if the coaches and players don't know what the fuck's going on, then we as fans are definitely not going to know what's going on. And you would think that the referees and the bunkers are supposed to be secondary to the product of the game, and at the moment they're at the forefront of the game. And I can see a premiership being won or lost on the back of a poor bunker decision.
Well, it was brought in as a tool to assist, to make everyone's life easier, and all it seems to have done is just added to the confusion. It's just like something extra that everyone is now worrying about, and Absolutely. That leads me that confusion leads me perfectly into the second rant, and that's the bunker calling players by the wrong names. Not call me old-fashioned, but it's a little bit disrespectful, and it's just common courtesy, to get somebody's name right.
Correct.
So naming the wrong player, or players that are not on the field, or even worse, players that aren't even playing in that game, like dragging these guys into it. It's like nothing to do with them. What was it against the Broncos when they kept calling Harris Tavita Reece Walsh? Henry Perenara called him Reece Walsh about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, on the weekend, for Manly, he called
Sean Keppie.
Somebody, Sean Keppie. Sean Keppie was a ball boy.
Exactly, he wasn't even playing. It just adds to the perception that they just can't get things right. If they're getting people's names wrong, then everyone is entitled to think, well, what else are they getting wrong? I mean that's pretty self-explanatory, that one, but Absolutely. It's common courtesy.
Yeah, it is. You're brought up as a kid to, address people by name and get it right. And as you said, these guys are involved in the game. They should know who the players are. And even if it's you're obscured of his face, you can see the number on the fucking jersey.
It's a number.
His back. Yeah. It's not hard. Not hard.
Apparently it is, mate. Apparently it is.
I mean, if these are the things that upset us, then the game's the product of the game itself is pretty good. If the things that are upsetting us are all referee related, and that leads me into mine. Penalties and suspensions. Are some players unfairly targeted? And I would say yes. There is no doubt at all that certain players are unfairly targeted by the match officials. Prior to going into the game, they have a preconceived thought on which players are the troublesome players and who's going to be causing penalties. We see, the wild man, Jack Hetherington, he only has to look like he's thinking about doing a high tackle, and he's penalised to put on report for it.
It's on Minority Report. They're getting him before he's even done it.
Matt Lodge is in the same deal. The past 2 penalties that he's copped that have gone on report, there was one where the player was falling down and he basically hit him like in the head while he was near the ground. He got 2 weeks for that. He was facing another 2 weeks, and thankfully Justin Morgan came to the judiciary last night and baffled them with his lawyer skills.
You sure it was Justin Morgan, or did they get another certain former Warriors coach with a PowerPoint presentation to get in there and wow them?
No. Morgo himself.
It wasn't old man Elliott. He would have been in bed by then anyway. So yeah.
Morgo might have donned the scream mask and, But Victor Radley, he has the same problem now with the match.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
the target on his back, and we only need to go back to our good mate Jazz Tavanga, who only has to look like he's seen the red mist, and he gets penalised in a game of footy, sometimes for stuff that he's not even involved in. So it's a massive problem in the NRL. where they go into the game with this preconceived thought on those players that fly very, very close to the edge. I spoke about that penalty on Matt Lodge. I don't know how we get it out of the game, though. It's incidents like that, though, that really change the momentum of games and can determine the results. And I would hazard a guess now to say that when Latrell Mitchell returns from his suspension,
marked man,
he'll be a marked man by the referees as well, based on the way that he conducts himself on the field. Hey, TK, how are you, bro?
G'day, TK. Thanks for tuning in, buddy.
Come on, Stevie Williams. G'day, buddy.
Stevie, awesome. Well, again, my next point is, I'm sorry to say, is also to do with the bunker and adjudication as well. And I've seen quite a few comments come up in the chat about this as well, so we'll get into it. Milking penalties. We've seen a lot of this since Magic Round crackdown, especially in the close games. Players getting hit and staying down. Jordan Rapana, Elliot Whitehead both did it successfully against us on Friday night at crucial periods of the game. Another incident I recall is Walsh getting hit as well. And instead of staying down, he got up and played the ball. Because he got to his feet and got on with it, there was nothing said about it. Yep. So you'd have to think, if he stays down at that time and just, grabs his jaw or what have you, gives the bunker time to look at it, do we get a penalty there as well? Is there an instruction to do so? Do you think that teams are coached to do this now? Yeah, it has to be a tactic.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the Raiders exploited it perfectly on Friday night and were the beneficiary of that. But there's inconsistencies galore, as I said. A couple of guys get whacked across the chops and they look at it and just play on, fair game. What's the difference in these incidents? Again, inconsistencies. Overall, I would say, if you are staying down deliberately to try and get a penalty, it's clearly, against the spirit of the game. But when there's, it's a tight game, there's a lot on the line. I mean, what do? Do you stay down and get the penalty, or do you do what Walshy did, get straight to your feet and play on?
That's the thing. I can remember earlier in the season, Walshy got hit and he stayed down. And Brad Fittler was the one that came out and basically said that he was a milker. I think it was just before Origin when he got picked for Origin, and Fittler said something in regards to, I hope he doesn't try and milk penalties in Origin like he does in the thing. And I don't think Reece Walsh has ever done that. It's funny how they look at the players that do it. So on last weekend's game, I don't ordinarily agree with Braithen Astor. I think he's a bit of a tool, but he actually said after the game that, Reece Walsh should have stayed down. He would have got his team a penalty there because it was surely in the Raiders' tactics to milk the penalties, and he doesn't like it. He thinks it's a awful look for the game. Paul Kent's come out and said he doesn't like it. James Graham's come out and says he doesn't like it. Benji's come out and said, look, it's part of the game now. So obviously, he's a current player, so he's going to go.
He's going to settle the fence, isn't he? Yeah, of course.
Right. But you see a couple of weeks ago where the Storm did it, and it was Brandon Smith, and he stayed down, and they got the penalty. And as soon as they got the penalty, he jumped up, smiled, and winked. And
I can't stand that.
But the commentators, because it's a hectic cheese and he's such a personality in the game, they laughed about it. So it's almost as if he does it, or one of those kind of guys does it, it's fine.
What if Jazz does it? What if some of these other guys do it?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's So I think it's a massive problem in the game. There's a couple of things in the game that I don't like. That's one of them, and the other one is if you're the defending team and you are leading a game of footy, and there's a minute to go or whatever, or 2 minutes to go, and you are lying all over the tackle player to deliberately give away, a set restart, but you're taking precious seconds off the clock every time, you get penalised eventually. But it doesn't go the other way. If you're the attacking team with the ball and you get tackled, and then you lie there for a little bit longer.
Oh, cram!
And
Yeah.
Get up and you stretch your leg and you pull up your sock before you play that for me is just as bad as milking, and that should be fucking penalised. They're the two
time
things.
wasting. Yeah.
I fucking hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think if a player stays down and is proven to be milking the penalty, then that should be a penalty against him. And the only way that they can do this is if a player stays down in the tackle, he has to go off, and he has to go off for a mandatory 15-minute period or 10-minute period or whatever it is.
Yeah. No coming off the field and then straight back on again. None of that.
Yeah, none of that. He's got to stay off the field.
Mockery of it.
Yeah. Get rid of that altogether. If you're going to lie down in the play the ball and try and claim that penalty, well, if you're crafty enough to do that, you get the penalty, but you're off the field because you've stayed down. You haven't got your feet. You haven't played the ball. If we're talking about the safety of the players' safety and so forth, that's what they do. They're now off the field for 10 minutes and going through the mandatory HIA protocols. Simple, and it'll stop a lot of the milking. It will, because a guy like Jordan Rapana, as great as he is, and I love watching him play, and he is a competitor, but if he's not going to lie down and risk going off the field for 10 minutes in a game like we had on the weekend, where he's obviously needed on the field,
where he was the difference. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I agree with you, mate. I think it's something that they're coached now, and
it's tactical, 100%.
Oh, mate, you could imagine what Ricky Stewart would have been like in his press conference if we had done it against them and we'd won.
Exactly.
So, mate, my last point I want to raise this week is the one that we're going through at the moment for this round, which is clubs resting players. Are you for or against it? As we know, it's the final round of the NRL competition, and as per previous seasons, it's a round where the top teams, those that are well and truly into the semi-finals and can afford to do so, rest their players, effectively succumbing to a loss that round and it freshens up their players for the final run. I get it. I do. I understand that the NRL is a business, and the aim of the business is to win the premiership. However, this weekend, there's no less than $15 million of player talent that will be watching from the sidelines. So the Storm has basically forgone the minor premiership by resting 8 of their regular 13. South will be without 9 of their regular 13. Parramatta up against Penrith are playing without 10, which is surprising considering a win for them this weekend will put them in a top 4 finish. So they're forgoing the chance of two chances at the cherry to finish in that bottom drawer and try and work their way from there. And especially after coming off a win against Melbourne, I find it odd that they would then rest all those players, take away that momentum that they got from last week coming up against the Panthers. Because if they beat Melbourne and then they turn around, they beat Penrith this weekend, that's a massive statement to the rest of the competition. However, if they lose to Penrith this weekend and lose in a big way with all their stars, then it takes away the confidence that they got from last week. So they're in that situation where if we rest all our players and we lose, it's all right. We're in the 8 anyway. For me, it takes away the integrity of the final round and has serious implications for the makeup of the top 8. Because like we've said, Cronulla win this weekend, which they probably will because Melbourne are resting all their players, and they're straight into the 8. But the Raiders, who are in the fight for the 8, are coming up against a red hot, like a full strength Roosters team. When I say full strength, it's everyone that's available to be picked, that's not injured or suspended, has been picked to play for the Roosters this weekend. So, it's kind of assured the Sharks that they're going to limp into the top 8 again for the second in a row. The Manly and the Panthers are the only 2 teams in that top 6 teams that are putting out full strength sides this weekend. Maybe more emphasis and reward should be put on the minor premiership. $100,000 prize for the best team over 26 rounds is nowhere near enough reward in a billion-dollar sport such as the NRL. Maybe they need to put more emphasis on that award, that result as well. Give them more of a prize, make it more of a thing, because you're not
something more to strive for. Like make it like like say in the NBA, whatever, you want to win that Eastern or Western Conference final. It's not the premiership, but you do get some sort of silverware trophy for it.
Absolutely.
More prestige.
Yeah. That used to be the JJ Gilton Shield, which I think it still is, but that's now not going to be awarded until the first week of the finals or something ridiculous like that. Do they put a bye round in at the end of the regular season? So we have, your 25 weeks of rugby league. And then after the last round, there's 1 week off, which allows all the top teams to freshen up their players ready for the run into the semi-finals. And that week there could be a standalone week for the women's comp leading into their final or something to that effect.
I guess the argument against that would be the teams that are on a roll, and they would say, well, we don't want a week off. We want to keep playing because we've got this momentum heading into the final. So I know I get what you're saying, and it would help to fix that issue of teams needing to rest players, but at the same time, you got to wonder what that would mean for momentum.
From the selfish standpoint too, as a fan, it kind of takes away from the luster of seeing these guys go around. I know it gives some younger guys an opportunity. There's a lot of players debuting this week and playing their first game of NRL footy, or their second or third in their career. Going to be their first game as a starter, maybe, which gives them an opportunity to get some first grade experience. But then for me, as someone who plays, fantasy rugby league via NRL Supercoach, I'm lucky enough this weekend that I've made it through to the grand final of 5 of the 10 competitions I play in. But with all the players being rested, I can only field 9 players in the.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing too, which is nothing. No one else has to worry about that. But for me, that's just a bit of bullshit. So,
Well, final set of tackle/rant. A little bit of a lighthearted one here, but players claiming tries when they clearly haven't scored. This one, I just don't understand. The camera angles, all the camera angles that are available these days with all the technology, who are these guys trying to fool? The only thing I can think of is that under the previous system where it was sent up as either a try or a no try, if it's a really close call, the fact that they seemed confident after it happened would maybe sway it from a no try to a try or a ref's call or something like that, sway the decision. That's all I can think of in defense of it. But nevertheless, it's such a long bow to draw. If you've got the ball down or you haven't.
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all.
I don't either. Like, as you said, in the old days where there wasn't so much video technology and it came down to, maybe the ref or the touch judge.
Pull a Swifty.
You could pull the Swifty and, get away with it. But
just go, throw it up in the air. I scored that.
With the amount of scrutiny over tries scored now, if you blatantly know that you never got the ball down, it's particularly those ones where they're held up and they get up and they.
That's right. And it's always guys that don't get many tries. It's always guys that don't get many that they're just like, I came close. At least celebrate this one.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Mark Roberts has just come up. Could you have 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th place play off for the bottom 2 places of the 8 in that extra week? Because sometimes 9 and 10 deserve to be in the top 8 more than 7 and 8. I love that idea. Kind of like a wild card round to make up the last.
Like what the NBA are doing now. So teams 7 through 10, they play off. It's like a play-in tournament. Okay, so you said that we would, so teams 9 and 10 play 7 and 8. So 10th would play 7th, 9th would play 8th.
Yep.
Yeah. And,
And the winners progress into the semi-final. And you're right, you look at this year, you've got Newcastle on 26 points in 7th, and then you've got Cronulla and Canberra on 22 points.
22,
and 9th. And then you've got the Titans and the Warriors on 20 points in 10th and 11th. So
could they do it? Could they look at it and say, maybe in a season where it wasn't so close, you wouldn't worry about it, but if there is a situation where you've got so many teams within like 2 points or a heap of teams that are level on points. I don't know. I don't know that you could pick and choose, but
I can remember when the old top 5 system was in place.
Playoff for 5th.
Playoff for 5th place on the Tuesday night, and then you'd back up on the Saturday or whatever it was. So
you were at a disadvantage, but at the same token, you got in. You did have to play like a couple of days later. So I remember that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that that play-in type competition. I think that's a great idea. That maybe you should write a letter to the NRL, Mark Roberts, and suggest that.
Do it, Mark.
If I write the letter and suggest it, I'm claiming that as my own system, and it may get its own name. Remember the old McIntyre system? They might call it the Hammer system, where
Can you hammer your way into the playoffs?
Hey.
Hey.
I think it's a great idea. I like that idea. It's it kind of
and it keeps it interesting, and it stops those teams that think, oh, we're out of contention now. It keeps like down to 11th, 12th, 13th. These teams still somewhat alive coming into the last rounds if it's a close comp.
Yeah, hammer time, exactly. But I'm not going to wear those funny pants.
Hammer time. The crab dance. Whoa, whoa. Stop. Hammer time.
Okay. So let's have a look at the team that Brownie's named for this week, mate. You want to take us through?
Yep. So absolutely. Let's have a look at Mr. Bounds boys for this week. We've got for the match between the Titans at Shibas Super Stadium, I should say. We've got Reece Walsh at fullback, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak and Marcelo Montoya on the wings, Hiku and Berry in the centres, Chanel Harris-Tavita back to partner Sean O'Sullivan in the halves. Adam Fanua-Blake is one front row and captain, and Matt Lodge winning his appeal there is the other front row with Wade Egan at hooker, Ewan Aitken and Joshy Curran at the second rows. Bailey Sirinen getting a reprieve at lock there. On the bench, we've got Nikarima, Katoa, Evans, JTB, and on the extended bench, we have Jazz Tavanga, Adam Pompey, Jack Murchie, and Ed Cozy.
Yeah, mate. CHT to partner O'Sullivan in the halves. That's a good return for me. I thought those two guys have been playing well in those 3 wins that we had heading into the a couple of rounds back. Bunty Afoa injured at training yesterday, which is the reason why he's not selected in the game day 21. JTB and Evans on the bench and Jazz relegated to the extended bench. I don't know. I don't know what Jazz has done. I don't know if he's maybe slept with Brownie's daughter. He's done something. Maybe matched with Brownie's wife on Tinder. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Because for me, Tavanga is a no-brainer in the game day 17 somewhere.
He offers a lot more impact, you would imagine, than JTB and Evans as well. Just for the energy and his defensive workload.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
Mate, I would, if I'm picking this side based on current form, well, Bailey Sirenen's not at 13. Jazzy's playing 13. And I would maybe not even have Cody Nikarima in the 17 because he is just not performing at the moment. His efforts on the weekend in 30 minutes were awful. So, yeah, Eli Katoa, Kane Evans, I'd give the Merch a little bit more time. I'm not sure what the go is with Taniel Otakolo. I thought he might have been back from his little niggle injury at this stage. I would have loved to have seen him get some more game time. But, for me, it's a weird one. I'm hoping that Brownie sees the light and Jazz is included in the 17 to finish off the season. But unfortunately, Otakolo is having surgery. Okay, that makes sense to me. That's probably why he's not there then. Very hard to play when you've got a hospital gown on. It's just a couple of guys this year that just really haven't been given much opportunity, and Merch is one of them. And he was so good for us last year.
Well, terribly out of condition this year, though. When he's gotten on the field, he's been short of a gallop.
I don't know if it comes down to out of condition or just really trying hard to perform in the limited opportunities he gets, and that old adage where you just try too hard, you make too many mistakes. Because he hasn't been he hasn't been one of the guys that when he's not playing been thrown up to Redcliffe to play. The only guys that have really gone up there were O'Sullivan a couple of times, Jackson Frey, Tom Arley, and then the other guys like Jairus and Pride Patterson Rabadi, who are on the development contracts to start off with. But I don't know, mate. I'm hoping that with finals contentions effectively go now, that hopefully with the pressure of the off boys that they can go out there and just play some footy. Get back to
cut loose,
throwing the ball around. Have that good shape. Guys out the back, guys running lead lines. Punching holes through defence, that kind of thing. Giving our halves options, because the last couple of weeks we have had great shape in our attack. So I'm hoping that continues, and that we're able to bookend the season where we won the first game of the season against the Titans. We can actually win the final game of the season against the Titans and finish the combo.
Yeah, you've pretty much summed up what I was going to say. I'd just like to see us make the ball sing, just throw caution to the wind. It's the last game of the season. There's nothing really to play for apart from pride, and love to see us to get a few tries. Like you said, I would love to have seen some of those fringe guys play. I would like to have seen guys like Jackson Frey and Tom Arley get another game in there, but it is what it is. The team's been picked, so I expect quite a few points to be scored on the weekend. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and cheering on the guys one last time. Yeah,
mate, it's great that you're going to be able to get to this game to off the season. It's good that between the two of us this year, we've probably attended. I'm just trying to think. I think there was only a couple of games that I didn't get to down here, and now you guys carrying the flag up at South East Queensland there, to support the boys. So that's a great thing. It's great that you're going to be able to share that with your family too. Take the family along to the game.
Yeah, that's it. Being Father's Day, I thought had a few tickets spare, so I thought, why not take the whole family? My daughter's never been to the footy before, so she's really excited to cheer on the Warriors, and it's been a while since Cleo's been as well. So it'll be a good day out with the family, and I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. As you know, we had the tickets for this game together. I was looking forward to getting up there for the final game of the season, but unfortunately can't go. And I'm not complaining, because I know I'm a lot luckier than a lot of other people that just have not been able to watch our boys play for the past two seasons, and that's you guys back in New Zealand. We really think about you guys a lot and how hard it's been to be supporters from so far away. But know that those of us that are here in Australia and can get to the game are trying our best to, provide that support that you guys provide so well at Mount Smart Stadium when the boys play at home. So we get to do it one last time this weekend with our South East Queensland band of fans. So I'm hoping that everyone who lives in that area of South East Queensland has got their tickets to the game and can get out there and support the boys in their last run of this season.
Guys, if there is anyone out there that would really like to go but isn't able to get a ticket, get in touch with us and we'll see what we can sort out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Let's have a look at. Sorry,
No, I was just going to say, let's have a look at a couple more games.
Yeah, exactly. Round 24 will kick off on Thursday night, and this is a crucial game. Bebby Prince Stadium again in Mackay, Raiders versus the Roosters. All-important battle for top 8 position. The result could see the Roosters finish as high as 4th or as low as 6th, and the Raiders could finish 8th or miss the finals completely. The Raiders, CNK back into the starting squad with Rapana moving to his usual wing position. Matt Frawley retains his position at halfback. CS Soliola named at lock, moving Ryan Sutton back to the interchange bench. For the Roosters, Morris returns in the centres, replacing injured Joey Manu. Adam Kieran and Matt Igavali return from injuries. Jared Wairia-Hargraves returns from injury. And Lord Farquhar returns from suspension. And Lachlan Lamb is named at half, and Sam Walker will be starting from the interchange bench again.
Yeah, mate. All important game. Just want to say congratulations to Josh Morris, who announced his retirement at the end of this season. He's been a massive stalwart of the game. Him and his brother Brett both came in at the same
consistent.
time. Yeah, going at the same time. Unfortunately, Josh never got to win a premiership like Brett did. Went to the Bulldogs before the Dragons won in 2010.
Yet.
Yeah.
They have a chance.
So, it was great. What a family that's been. Like, father and both sons all scoring over 100 tries in the NRL, which is just ridiculous. Mate, for me, the Raiders are starting to hit a little bit of form with their milking. And on the back of Jordan Rapana's individual form, the Roosters with some big inclusions back for this game. I like Jared Wairia-Hargraves leading from the front. I like Lord Farquhar back on an edge and with Tupanua on the other edge. Adam Kieran back in the centres, which will give them a good goal-kicking option for this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Roosters will get home. I hope the Raiders get home. I'd like to see the Raiders challenge for that last spot in the top 8, but my brain says the Roosters 1-12.
I think it'll be a rip snorter of a match, real close contest. But yeah, I think the Roosters will just have the edge here, 1-12.
Yeah, the first of the Friday night games, which will decide the minor premiership, basically, the 2 games on Friday night. Sharks versus Storm. Coach Josh Hannay for the Sharks has only made 2 changes to his team. Matt Moylan returns to the starting side, which pushes Luke Metcalf back to the interchange bench. For the Storm, a handful of stars: Josh Adokar, Remus Smith, Cameron Munster, Christian Welch, Felice Kafusi and Kenny Bromwich are all being rested. Jesse Bromwich has a 1-game suspension. George Jennings back into the side on the wing. Marriott Seve into the centres. Nico Hines starts in the halves. Tui Kamikamitha and Nelson Asafa Solomona will be the starting front rowers in what will be the biggest 2 prop forwards in the game. Mate,
who's paying the food bill there?
Aaron Penne, Chris Lewis, and Dale Finucane will make up the rest of the starting pack. I thought the Storm would want to bounce back from that loss to the Eels last week and finish the season with a win in the minor premiership. But resting so many players, I just think the Sharks could be the unlikely winner here. And I'm going to pick the Storm 1-12. But if based on pride alone and the fact that they've still got Grant and Brandon Smith and Nico Hines and Jerome Hughes all playing, Pappenhausen, I'm going to pick the Storm 1-12, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks do get home.
I might go the other way, and I think the Sharks can just get over the line. I think it might be one of those games where they get out to a bit of a lead, and then the Storm come back at them, but they might just hang on for that, considering what's at stake. The second game, it's a Sheba Stadium, Parramatta versus Penrith. Now, ordinarily, this would have been the game of the round. Both teams playing for their position in the top 8. Clint Gutherson being rested for this game. Hayes Perham getting his first run in Eels colours. I was just thinking about him the other day. I think he hasn't really had a run since leaving the Warriors. Yeah, exactly. Blake lookalike, Blake Ferguson lookalike, I should say. I got that one out eventually. Michael Oldfield comes into the centres for Wanga Blake. Will Smith getting jiggy with it, and Jake Arthur are the halves pairing with Moses and Brown rested.
Daddy boy.
Yeah, daddy boy. Junior Paulo suspended for 1 game. Oregon Kafusi and Makatoa are the new front row pairing. Isaiah Papali'i, Nathan Brown, and Marata Niokore are being rested, and Ray Stone, Keegan Hipgrave, the loose unit, and Bryce Cartwright are the new faces in the side, and Samuel Loizu and Kai Rodwell, both named to make their debuts from the bench. Panthers, no changes to the Panthers side that got into this game and go into this game, I should say, with a full strength team. So, yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's an interesting makeup. Mate, like you said, ordinarily would have been the game of the round.
Would have been, yeah.
However, now for me, I think the Roosters Raiders game is the game of the round for me now.
Yes.
But yeah, mate, Parramatta resting so many players, and like I said, I can understand why they're doing that. But I think it's going to be a 13+ points fest for the Panthers. And yeah, just good to see Hayes Perham get a run. The Mackay in the front row, he's been a revelation in the past couple of weeks. He's 28 years old, making his first grade debut, and mate, he's been one of their best players in every game that he's played. He's making every post a winner, that guy. So yeah, for me, 13+.
I think the Panthers will win by 20+.
Yeah. Saturday kicks off with the Broncos versus the Knights at Suncorp Stadium. This game has zero implications on positions. Thomas Flegler has taken a 4-game suspension. Ethan Bullimore is in the front row. Jordan Ricky is back after missing last week's game. Reece Kennedy back on the bench for Brendan Piakura, who has been suspended for 2 matches. For the Knights, Stafford Toller is named on the wing for Hymel Hunt. Jaden Brayley and Mitch Barnett both being rested, with Crandall named at hooker and no-neck Brodie Jones in the back row. And Phoenix Crossland and Jack Johns are the new faces on the bench. Mate, for me, I think the Broncos will want to end this season on a positive, and the Knights will just want to be continuing their winning run into the finals. I think the game means more to the Knights than the Broncos, and I think Mitch Pearce's experience will come to the fore, and I think the Knights will get them, but it'll be a close one.
I'm going to go the upset here. I think that the Broncos can get the Knights here. It's Alex Glenn's last game. They've been pretty heavily up here. He's a pretty popular member among the team. He might just rally the troops. And I think the Broncos can possibly get away in a close one there. 1-12. Moving on to Queensland Country Bank Stadium, where we have the Cowboys.
Before we move on, mate, we've got Millie's jumped in. There's
here we go.
Yeah, she said, I mean this with only the utmost of love and respect. Not being a Warriors fan, can you please help me to understand what that was all about on Friday night? Your finishing in the first half was very questionable, and defensively, that was the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen in the second half. Millie, you want a job with us? Because that's pretty much basically what we said.
Thanks, Scoop. Thanks, Scoop, Millie.
It was. There was. We spoke about it before. For us, it was like the last 5 minutes of the first half, the first 5 minutes of the second half, and then the last 2 minutes of the second half were just points in the game where we just switched off and the Raiders just capitalised and scored tries, and that was it. In saying that too, we're very aware of the fact that we scored 2 tries from drop ball on the end of kicks. And
it was gifted. They were 2 gifts. So the 16-0 lead was somewhat deceptive.
Yeah. And we just wanted to help you guys make the finals.
So you should be thanking us. Come on. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. It's all part of our thank you to Jordan Rapana for jumping up and doing a harker at the Dally M's when Roger won it. We've never forgotten that, and we're indebted.
We're a generous team. We're such a generous team. All the other teams in the competition are like, thank you for giving us that win.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, let's just move on from that.
Yep.
Finally. Queensland Country Bank Stadium, Cowboys versus Manly. Cowboys, Ruben Cotter has been rested due to bicep injury. Cohen Hess named in the front row, and Jason Taumalolo moving back to 13. Manly, no changes to Seagulls starting 13. Sean Kepi, Taniela Paseka named on the bench, and Curtis Sirinen and Toph Sipley back in the extended bench.
Yeah. Mate, Manly will secure that 4th spot and get the 2 chances in the final. Ruben Garrick will get enough points to overtake Hazem El Masri because I reckon he'll get a double in this game. And I just think Todd Payton will just be relieved when the full-time siren goes and he can put this season behind him.
I think so.
Manly to put a monster score on him is my prediction.
Yeah, I can see Tommy Turbo running riot. I can see Saab getting plenty. I can see Garrick getting plenty. I can see Reese Feldman getting in the action there. I mean, it all costs
Yeah.
money, tries.
Mate, this firm, my yacht, the kids' costs money.
It all costs money. Oh, brilliant.
Oh,
Stusky and Hutch, for all those who haven't seen
yeah.
it.
Sunshine Coast Stadium is the next game. The Rabbits and the Dragons. Rabbits, Blake Taff named at fullback to replace the suspended Latrell Mitchell. Tane Mill named in the centres with Alex Johnson moved to the extended bench. Adam Reynolds, Dane Cook have all been rested. And Cody Walker, Cam Murray and Jai Arrow all named on the extended bench, probably not expected to play. Benny Marshall and Lachlan Ilias are the new halves pairing. Peter Mamazoulis named at hooker with Patrick Mago named in the front row. Dean Hawkins, Tautau Moga, Jed Cartwright and Davey Mawale all named on the interchange bench. For the Dragons, Zach Lomax is out injured. Jared Beale named as his replacement, and Poesa Farmasui named on the interchange bench. I think South will be looking to make a statement without Latrell Mitchell. And even with the mass changes, I still think they'll be too strong for the Dragons. I just don't rate the Dragons at all. I think it'll be close. I originally would have thought Rabbits 13 plus. I think it'll be 1-12. I do expect some of the extended bench players in Cody Walker, Cam Murray, or Jai Arrow to actually come into the game day 17. I don't think they'll all 9 or 10 of those players will be rested. But yeah, for me, the Dragons have just got nothing. And I really hope that they lose just so that they can stay on this losing run going into next year. Because that'll be 9 on the trot if they lose this one.
Since beating us, since we let them beat us that night, I should say. Yeah, Rabbitohs will have too much despite their lack of personnel. And again, I think old Hook will be very happy that this season is over, and they might go and have a barbecue at Paul Vaughan's place or something like that.
Well, is it the Bulldogs now? So I hear he might be putting on the Bulldogs end of year barbecue.
Yeah, right. Okay, he hosts a good do from what we've heard. So
I've heard that.
We'll see. Sunday, first game at Sheba Stadium, as we've said. Titans versus Warriors. Win for the Titans could put them in the top 8. The Titans, Mo Fotuaika has been named at prop. Tino Fasumaali named at lock. And Sam McIntyre moving back to the bench. And our mate Sambo Skipper named on the extended bench. And hopefully he can get a run against his old team. And, for Warriors, as we said, CHT, the only change to Warriors, 17 from last week. JTB onto the bench for injured Bunty Afoa.
Yeah, mate, for me, I'm expecting a big final game of the season for the Warriors. And I'm hoping, as I said, that we can bookend the season with another win against the Titans. A couple of ex-Warriors playing in that Titans side. We've got, big Sambo Skipper, hopefully can get his way onto the bench. Playing against his best mate Jazz. If Jazz can get onto the bench,
that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Otherwise the extended bench should be quite fun. I'd rather have the TV cameras on the extended bench watching those two play fight. Also, we've got Paddy Herbert out there playing.
Love Paddy Herbert. Really miss Paddy Herbert. He was one of my favourite Warriors. So always wish him well. Just not too much luck this week. Clark,
There's Clark out there as well. It would have been nice for me to be able to see Tino again after my run-in with Tino.
That's right. Remind everyone what you said to him in round 1. It was something on the effect of,
because we got the win, he's come out from the sheds, walking down the stairs, and I'd just spoken to Paddy Herbert and Ez Clark, and I think I was in the process of talking to Sambo Skipper, and Tino's come out, and I said what did I say to him, or what?
I said, I should have come to the Warriors, Tino.
Said, do you regret not signing for the Warriors, or you should have come to the Warriors, or something to that effect? And he's just death stared me and said, "Long season, bruh." So
yeah, exactly, I'll never forget that. He just he gave you that greasiest look, didn't he? He said, "Long season, bro." It's to say, you see what happens, and okay, so here we are, both.
I would love to have been there at the end of this game to just say to him, "It was a long season, bruh." But
I'll try. If I get close enough, I'll get one in for you. Remember old Hammer had a dig at you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. What was your prediction for this one? Score prediction?
I said the Warriors 13 plus.
Mate, it's not going to be anything other than a 420 Warriors win. that is our most common, I reckon. I challenge anyone to go look back through the record books. I reckon our most common winning scoreline is 24-20. We seem to win a heap of games by that scoreline. Anyway, 24-20. Very nervous 24-20, I should add.
Absolutely. And then Moreton Daily Stadium hosts the game of the round. The Tigers versus the Bulldogs.
Can't they just call it off one round early?
What a way to finish the regular season. The Tigers, Woogie Maguire is named an unchanged lineup except for the forced change of Alex Seyfarth, who is out with injury, and Kelma Tuolungi, he's been named on the bench. For the Bulldogs, who... for a man with the amount of stress and pressure, he looks good, doesn't he? Hey,
I know. It's not fair. He's in prime, Nick. He can still be playing.
Mate, I looked at photos of Kearney when he took over from the Warriors to where he ended up with the Warriors, and he aged 20 years in 4 years.
Look at Matty Elliott now. Look what he did to Matt Elliott.
Oh, mate, yeah. Trent Barrett, he's only made the one change. Corey Waddell in for the injured Matt Dury. Look, the Bulldogs will be hoping to get us a win and finish with more than 2 for the season. But I just think the Tigers will be more classier, and I use that word very loosely, than the Bulldogs. And I think the Tigers will get them 1-12.
Yeah, I think so too. An unconvincing 1-12 win.
Nick McKirch is asking, why is Maguire nicknamed Woogie? Do you want to tell him?
Go and watch this. Go and watch this. Mary, Kirch. I won't explain it to you, but go and watch that movie. I'm sure it's on Netflix or something like that. Go and watch that movie. Very funny movie, and you'll see exactly why.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Upcoming games. Well, there is only one. Round 25, Seabus Super Stadium versus the Titans. I'll be at this game, so as always, if you see me, come and say hi. I'll still have some posters to give out as well, maybe a couple of lanyards here and there as well. No watch party this weekend, but we do plan to do a couple more watch parties over the finals series. And, we may even do one each week during the finals, and definitely one for the grand final as well, because they're always a lot of fun and keeps everyone interested in the footy. So keep an eye out on our events page for notifications of these. And as always, if you'd like to take part, get in touch.
Yeah, get in touch. If you want to join us on screen for any of those watch parties, just send us a message and we'll organise to try and get you on with us. It's always a bit of fun. There's some great banter, with those that are... Yeah, there's great banter with those that are watching and commenting as well. But, there's nothing like being there with us in that forum and having a bit of a dig and some fun. So
exactly. Yeah, that's it. We got some great guests coming on for some live chats. So they're going to continue on through the final series and after the season. So we've got NRLW stars, Georgia Hale and Karina Brown, coming on for a chat, talk all things NRLW. Brent Tate, Ben Murdoch-Masilla, Jerry Siu, PJ Marsh, Mark Graham, Andy Raymond, media personality, and now superstar podcaster, and Big Paul Sirinen, father of Bailey and an absolute rugby league legend in his own right, will be joining us as well as part of our Legends series.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, and we've got a couple of the current squad we're hoping to get on as well. We're in the process of trying to organise Joshy Curran, and we're also trying to schedule something with the man himself, RTS. So, once we hear more about that stuff, we'll let you know. In the meantime, as we announced the other week, we're on Patreon now, which is a membership platform that enables people such as yourselves to show their support for us and the content by signing up for monthly subscriptions. It's a platform where we set up different tier levels of subscriptions to suit various budgets. and each tier level will have its own rewards and benefits, including exclusive Patreon-only merchandise that will be available very, very soon. Once that's available, we will be setting up the other tiers on our platform. But at the moment, we've got the one.
That's it, just the one for now. But as Sam Hammer said, yeah, there's plenty of good stuff in the works. So we will be updating soon when our merchandise is ready for you guys to have a look at, and we'll be updating our Patreon plans as well. So stay tuned. You can head to our Patreon page to show your support and subscribe to our bronze tier Patreon that is available now. Our bronze tier is set at the lowest amount possible, and that's $3 a month, which, let's face it, is less than a cup of coffee. And we have partnered, as we said before, with Torius Screen Print to produce a range of merchandise for us, which will be available soon. And there will be also some exclusive Patreon-only merchandise for our silver, gold, platinum, diamond level Patreon tiers in the coming weeks. And the exclusive Patreon merchandise will not be for sale and will only be available to our Patreon members.
Absolutely, mate. And as always, we'd like to thank those who have subscribed to our Patreon program so far. Our bronze tier Patreons are Daniel Delore, Peregrine Falconer, Sean Kurzweil, Nick McKercher, the Kirch, Mary Carter, Fabian Moroa, Siala Afamasanga, Stevie Williams, and Christian Catley. So thank you very much, you people.
Salute to you guys. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your support very, very much. I just noticed the Kirch Googled Woogie, and he now completely understands what we did there. Very well done.
What these? These are stress blisters, Mary. You're Woogie? Tom Woganowski?
Woganowski.
Yeah, look, don't forget, if you do miss our live shows, you can catch up on our Facebook page by going to our videos section, or you can go to YouTube channel to catch up there. Don't forget to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. Subscribe and like our videos so you'll never miss any of our streamed content. And if you're a podcast fan, then you can catch all our episodes on the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, Radio Direct, and iHeartRadio. And make sure you subscribe to us there. We upload those episodes so that they're ready for everyone to listen to on Thursday mornings. And please head to our Roo Hammer Instagram, where we upload content daily to keep informed on all our upcoming events.
Absolutely, mate. And also, too, thank you to everyone that voted on the merchandise options.
Yeah, appreciate that.
The YouTube and not the YouTube, the Instagram and Facebook page. We have now got some stuff happening in regards to getting that stuff made up, and will be available for purchase in the coming weeks. So we're really looking forward to launching that as the first range of merchandise available for Roo and Hammer, and we really do appreciate it. Nick McKercher has come up with a question. Favorite referees of all time, guys? Wow.
Kelvin Jeffs.
Mine will be a guy that I don't know how many people would be alive to remember him. A guy by the name of Brian Barry, who was a referee way back, and then he retired from like New South Wales Rugby League refereeing and refereed me a lot when I was a junior. And he was like a relative of mine, second removed or something to that effect, related somehow. But it was a lovely man. He was also the bus driver that drove our bus to school. And yeah, him for me was the greatest that I ever had anything to do with. NRL refs, that's a toughie. Wow.
Paul McBlain. Mogsheen Jadwat.
I was thinking, like, who was the guy? Tony Delasatis. Was he the guy?
Oh, Tony Delahaye. Yeah, cop Tony Carroll's. I think got knocked out by Tony Carroll's chin, didn't he?
Mate, I go way back to the guys of the old days, back when, you know, there was none of this shit. And no, I'm even going back before that, like Greg Hartley and Jack.
Greg Hartley, Hollywood Hartley. Oh yeah.
Cole Porter. You know, I think the referee that changed it for everyone though was Billy Harrigan. Love him all.
Oh yeah. I loved Billy. Yeah, I still do love him. Yeah, he sticks to his guns.
He does.
Yeah.
He was very good. Do you rate Eddie Ward?
Eddie Ward.
No.
Not since he called Willie Kahn offside in the 1993 State of Origin series.
Who was the one that Blocker Roach patted on the head? That was Mick Stone, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Mick Stone. Was it David Manson? Might have been Mick Stone.
Whatever. I think he missed the grand final because of it. He got suspended, and then they tried to send him over to England for one game to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I think he missed the '88 grand final against the Bulldogs because of it. So.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, that wraps up another good show.
That's about us. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and thanks for all your comments. It always keeps us entertained. We do see all your comments. Sorry we can't get to everything, but we appreciate all your contributions. Well, mate, you stay safe.
We do like the conversation. We do like the conversations that you guys have whilst we're doing the show. We do see what's being discussed. We appreciate the support very, very much. Mate, you stay safe as well. Enjoy Sunday.
Absolutely will. It should be great.
Absolutely. And, look forward to seeing you all next week for our final game review of the year. And we can preview the semi-finals.
Thanks very much. Cheers, TK. Shout out to you, mate. Thanks always for joining us. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week and go the Warriors.
Go Cheers. Warriors.